I would like to start off by thanking you, our loyal subscribers, who anticipate and look forward to each conversation, for your support on this wisdom journey. As you have shown your appreciation for the content and what Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi stands for, forward it to as many people in your network as well. Encourage them to click on the subscribe button, to like, and to also share it forward so that this positive channel can grow. My vision is to create wise people of the African continent and the perspective of those that treasure our place in history to be showcased to present and future generations for their wise and positive contributions to civilization. Help this channel to grow. Now to today's guest. Roy T. Bennett says, "Be brave enough to live the life of your dreams according to your vision and purpose instead of the expectations and opinions of others." This quote captures the spirit that drives the life of my guest, Dr. Bongani Mageba. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Telesure Advisory Services, which is a multi-product and a multi-branded advisory business that provides personalized solutions across a wide range of personal, business, life, and wealth offerings that align with the client's specific needs and objectives. Dr. Mageba has an LLM with the focus on constitutional law from the University of KwaZulu Natal, an MBA from the Wharton Institute of Business Science, commonly known as GIBS. He has completed programs at Harvard and the Wharton Business Schools and has a PhD from GIBS. Thank you so much for making the time. Haven't chatted to you in a long while.
Indeed, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, because of all the studying that you're doing. But before we get there, so we both attended University of KwaZulu Natal, now that it's called that. You studied law.
That's correct, yeah.
Why did you select law?
Well, interestingly enough, at the time, most people who were in leadership positions had studied law. And so it made sense to me that if you needed to make impact in society, you need to go via that route.
Okay.
And I also had this feeling that if I wanted to change society, especially the injustices of the time, that law would be an incredible vehicle towards that end. And I discovered much more than that, of course, during my 6 years of studying law.
Yeah. And what was that?
Well, firstly, I didn't just do law. When I was at university, I was a normal university student. So I had an incredible time. Some of my best years, in fact. I was a student activist. I got involved in also student leadership positions, SRC. I was on SESCO committee, Law Students Council. And I also had fun. I had a great time.
Well,
I really had fun.
Without compromising your studies, obviously.
Well, I think actually the biggest achievement for me is that I stayed true to the pursuit of my studies. And what I walked away with after 6 years was much more than I bargained for, in a positive manner. So, you sort of go in and say, as soon as I get one degree, maybe I'll go into articles. I stayed for 6 years. I stayed for 3 degrees ultimately. Yeah. So it really worked out quite well. It was exceptionally well. And I think the cherry on top is that I also met my life partner. Yeah. Whilst I was a student.
All Natal girls
All
were
Natal
cute.
girls, absolutely.
As we know. So where did you grow up, though? Do you have siblings? And what were your pastimes as a teenager, particularly?
Yeah. So I grew up in Umlazi, south of Durban. I have very fond memories. There is something about, and I always tell my kids this, there's something about growing up without everything, or at least with a bit of lack. When you don't have everything, there is something about that. I'm not glorifying lack in any way or form, but I think there is certainly value that comes from that. So I do have siblings. A little known fact about me, I'm actually a twin.
Really?
Yep. I've got a twin sister. She is in Durban, and I then got a younger brother who's up here in Johannesburg. And so some of the pastimes, the area where I grew in, Umla's N section was a very strong community, a very close-knit community. So I certainly have fond memories of riding skateboards, BMX motorbikes, fun community. It was really a great place.
It was a nice place to walk around as well.
It was an incredible community. So one is blessed in that sense. But I have very, very fond memories, no regrets.
Okay, I didn't know the twin one. You see, I'm still
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be interesting if I was talking to your twin sister as well. What do you think your unique value proposition is? What makes you memorable?
So I think that's a very, very difficult question, but a very important one. I think from a personal point of view, I've got a very strong sense of self. I'm clear about who I am. I've generally been very clear about what I'd like to achieve in my life, and I've stayed true to that. From, I think, career leadership point of view, I impact people positively. I really try and endeavor to do that. I have contributed and continue to contribute toward people's development in a positive manner. And I think I've touched many, many lives in a positive way. Further than that, I think there are very few people who have had, from a career point of view, and occupied different executive positions from FMCG, retail, banking, stockbroking, portfolio management. The diversity
of your sectors.
Insurance.
Yeah.
And that's how I've deliberately built my career. I've got an incredible diversity of sectors and knowledge in various areas. And of course, there's merit in also going deep in one sector, but mine has been built over a number of sectors. And I think that's been positive for my career.
Do you do like any formal mentorship?
I actually do a lot, formal and informal, and I believe in that quite strongly. A fair amount of my time is taken up in that, and it's possibly one of those things that I'll do maybe the day I lay down my tools and go into a lot more deliberately, and I really enjoy it as well. I truly do enjoy it.
Well, we shall be inviting you as a guest on our mentoring journey. So you're Chief Executive Officer of Telesure Advisory Services.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, Telesure Advisory Services is a division within Telesure Investment Holdings, and it's digitally enabled, data science-led advisory service. So we take the full suite of Telesure's products to the market. Telesure is a business that's been built off the back of very entrepreneurial business, and also incredible business been built off the back of direct engagement of customers, with financial services products. And I think there came a time where they realized that in order to offer the full proposition to its clients, you needed advice. South Africa is still pretty much a largely advised environment, and to that extent, you cannot ignore it completely. And so I've been given the task and the opportunity to start this business and division from scratch. And that excited me from a lot.
So it didn't exist before?
Didn't exist.
Wow, okay.
And so we're building it from the ground up. And we're building it in a way that will disrupt this market. We've been at it now for about 20 months. And a lot of challenges, but so far so good.
That's a good one. I didn't know. I mean, I don't think I've heard the brand before. Yes. So that was interesting. Yeah,
you see, the Telesure Investment Holdings corporate brand is not necessarily as well known as its sub-brands. Everybody will know its sub-brands like Budget, Dial Direct, First for Women, Hippo. Those brands are all owned within the Telesure Investment Holdings group. So, but the holdings business, not necessarily, but it's an incredible story. It's a South African story that I think should be told a lot more.
Well, I look forward to investigating it too as well. What wisdom can you share on what considerations one should think about when choosing a company to work for to make a fulfilling career?
Yeah, my thought on this is pretty clear. And that is, it always starts with you being clear about who you are and what you want. Not other people defining what they have for you. It's too late. You can't just be responding to that. If you're clear about who you are, what do you want, where you're going, it then makes it much easier to engage in any other self-directed endeavor in terms of career choices and or people approaching you. So what I'm saying, this is not a one-sided affair. You have to put forward what your thoughts are.
Instead of just receiving.
Instead of just being a recipient and happy that you are being considered. It is such a fundamental point for me. And it also means that you're in control of the process. So I always say to people, spend some time with yourself. Spend some time thinking through what actually matters to you. Because when you see it, you'll recognize it.
But we don't really get or give ourselves the privilege of our own company and our own thoughts and directing ourselves. So that is something to think about, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I must also admit, it's not necessarily an easy process. Sometimes it actually comes through trial and error. You make a few mistakes, you realize, actually, that didn't work out. And that means that next time I shouldn't be in or find myself with people or a company that behaves like that, does that. But as long as it sharpens your own knowledge of what you want and own sense of what you'd like to become, you're better off for it.
Were you ever in that situation where you kind of found yourself and you're like, oh my gosh?
Oh, yes, I have. Unfortunately, more than once. But the important thing is to make quick choices and recover from it.
Yeah, instead of dwelling.
And
overstaying your welcome in an unwelcoming place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you completed your PhD studies, which some of us have not yet started on. And the focus was on emotional intelligence as a predictor of work performance, an investigation using situation-specific model. So why did you decide on this model, and what insights surprised you from this?
Yeah, you see, my PhD journey was very stretching. No, it was truly stretching. Exciting, fun-filled, sometimes anxiety.
Totally different from the MBA, obviously.
It was different from everything that I've ever done my entire life, because it is solo endeavor. It is very lonely.
I forget the solo part. Okay.
And the standard is completely different because you've got to make an original contribution. Now, that is a completely different standard. And my topic of interest here, many of the scholars who play in this area have this desire to answer the question as to why do some people do better than others. That is what intrigued me. Why do some people do better than others? And I then came across the emotional intelligence model, because the general theory is that it's our cognitive intelligence that actually separates us.
Oh, is that the IQ part?
Yeah. But there's more than evidence that shows that it's actually much more than the IQ part. So the emotional intelligence part is incredibly important as a differentiator. So it was with that perspective that I took into my study, and I focused on the loan officers within the SME space, within banking.
Oh, okay.
And looked at them and looked at whether their emotional intelligence would be a predictor of their performance. They operate in a very unstructured area, in the sense that with SME businesses, there's a lack of information because they don't have formal documents. So the decisions they make around their loans are actually based on, I would argue, a sense of science and gut feel. You back the jockey. So, which means that it introduces emotions. You have to have a sense of, is this guy or girl going to do well? and the study was most interesting because the results were counterintuitive. So I did not, and I'm not going to bore you with the details of some of the variables that I tested, but I did not necessarily find conclusive evidence that their emotional intelligence predicted their performance. Okay. I didn't. And that alone is a finding, which means that there are certain instances when emotional intelligence, therefore, can be predicted. There may also then be instances when maybe it's not a predictor of emotional intelligence. I had control for a number of things, like their personality, like their cognitive intelligence, and that was my finding.
Gosh, who's going to follow on this? Because to really find out what is the real predictor.
Yeah, it's such a growing area, and I think will continue to grow. And there's various emphasis and models of emotional intelligence. I chose what is called ability-based emotional intelligence, which is more cognitive-like emotional intelligence, rather than personality-based emotional intelligence. That was for a good reason. And I think I'm quite satisfied with initially it shocked me, the results shocked me, and I needed to recover from the results initially. But ultimately, once I'd gotten hold of myself, I managed to pull the whole study together again till the end.
I don't know if I'm still going to go down that route, but anyway.
I would seriously encourage you. In fact, I think in my view, and I've said this many times, we need many more people like you who possess this amazing experience to bring in this academic side and the scientific side to test some of your own hypotheses.
Okay. What brings you most joy and fulfillment in life?
I think for me, it's just knowing that I'm living as close as possible to my assignment.
You know your assignment?
I think I do.
Okay.
I've been on it for the last decades. So it's knowing that I am doing the best I can to fulfill what I believe to be my assignment. And I think over and above that, I have a really supportive family structure. I have a balanced life. I don't let my job positions and all those things define me. My life is much more than that. And as soon as you remove yourself from those things, actually, I think that's where you find.
What do you do for fun?
Look, I do a lot of things. I like travel. Obviously, I'm an avid reader. I ride motorbikes. Yep, I ride motorbikes. And
are you going to shock me anymore with anything else?
Motorbikes. And I like writing. I've always been a speaker. So whenever I get the opportunity to speak to people, engage with people, I do that. And that brings me immense joy.
I saw your speech you did during COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did watch. What's the most courageous decision you have taken in your life thus far, and what drove you to that decision?
I think for me, it's probably been to pursue my objectives and goals and vision. I have a vision, and to stay true to that has probably been the most courageous decision. And I use my story to encourage others to say that it doesn't matter where you start. That's not the most important thing. It's where you finish.
Do you share your vision? Is it something you share?
Not the details of it, but one of the key things I like talking about is vision and why it's important in one's life. So yes, I have actually done talks around that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm quite willing to talk at some point about it.
Okay. And your biggest insecurity?
You know what, Dudu? I sleep well at night. I don't have any pestering insecurities. Do I feel anxious? Of course I'm human. There are things and happenings in life that throughout my life have at points made me feel inadequate, maybe sometimes anxious. But I sleep well at night. I don't have any insecurities, I'll be honest with you. Are there things I wish could have gone better? Yes. Many of them. I wish things in this country had gone much better than they are at this point. But I still believe in the future of this country.
Yeah, we all have to. We can only get better.
We can only get better.
We can't go further than we have.
Yeah.
So why do you believe you are on this earth? To accomplish what?
Well, firstly, I've got and we haven't spoken about that, I've got a very strong faith background. And first and foremost, I really genuinely believe that my duty on this earth is, and it's informed by my faith, is to do good. It is do good to others, do good to my environment, and to do things around me. And that has really, really shaped my thinking and how the approach I take to life. And I therefore believe that to be the reason why I'm here. And, there is, I just can't remember who said these words, that if you can't do great things, do small things, but do them a lot.
And hopefully they're small good things.
And the small good things that add up. That's if you can't do one great thing. And I believe many of us are there. There's men and women who do one great thing, but many of us have to do a lot of small good things that add up.
Yeah, they're important. We can't all have the capacity,
No.
So what are the 3 core values that guide your decisions and actions, and why those particular 3 values?
So one is excellence. I sincerely believe that whatever it is, a task that you've been given, you've got to do it to the best of your ability. I fundamentally believe in excellence, and I don't believe in space for regret, and hence this point around excellence. You've really got to give it the best that you can. 2 is a sense of community. In other words, the good of others by others. I really also believe in that. This world to be a much better place if a lot more people were making it. I fundamentally believe that. And so if I can make one more person cross, just one more, it makes a big difference in my life. Whether it's in words or deeds. But if I continue to do that, then I think that's an important thing. And the last one is fun.
Obviously. Well,
fun.
It's all relative, isn't it?
It is all relative.
What is?
Life is too short.
Yeah.
Life is too short to live a grateful life. Got to find time and space to do the things that matter to you. And I've still got a lot more to do.
So I'm just thinking, during your 6 years at Natal, much partying was happening as well.
Oh, yes.
Because as you said, fun. I went back to campus and I was like, oh, those parties.
Lots. Some of it that, I regretted, but nonetheless, lots.
Oh, God, student life. Beautiful. If you could change one thing that you've done in life and you wish you had done it differently, what is it and why would you do it differently? And what is that wisdom that you have gained, that you now see whatever it is differently today?
I don't know how this is going to come out. I don't have too many regrets. So I've made mistakes. I've come to bad decisions. But I don't regret much because at that point in time, it was the best decision I thought was possible. Of course, sometimes with the benefit of hindsight, you get to the point that actually that could have worked better. So the biggest lesson I have is that when you do find yourself in that situation, make the next best decision as quickly as you can. Move on. Make the next best decision. and build on that.
Yeah.
That's really, I genuinely believe that.
Instead of being paralyzed.
Instead of paralyzed or wallowing on to and focusing on to, if I take in that direction right, that step right, take the lesson and run.
It's almost like the second mover advantage, isn't it, in life?
Take the lesson and run.
Yeah. And it may just work out perfectly.
Excellent.
Yeah. So how long have you been married to your wife? And can you share wisdom about choosing a life partner that makes this roller coaster life journey a joy?
Wow. Did you not? I've been married 24 years. My goodness, a long time.
Yeah.
I married relatively young, still in my 20s. Because I've been married for so long, I'm not sure if I'm qualified to give out advice. And secondly, I met my wife. We were both students and still very young. The only advice I can give is that I think it has to go back to friendship and respect, and everything else can build on that. It's really about friendship. If you really enjoy each other as friends.
Yeah. Enjoy each other's company, because who are you going to spend time?
That's the key thing.
Yeah.
Because life is too long. And you have respect, and you show respect. Everything else can build on that. That's really the only advice I can give.
Yeah. So you knew quite young what you wanted.
I was lucky. In many ways I was. I didn't have to go searching for too long.
What do you spend your time and energy on, and why?
I have a number of interests outside of just my work. Whenever I get the opportunity, as I said, I do talks. Opportunity to teach is always great for me. I travel.
What's your favorite destination so far?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I love Lake Como.
I haven't been.
Oh, man, must see those houses overlooking the lake.
Yeah.
The other half lives very well.
I think I went to the villages. I love
It is
that
incredible.
part of, yeah.
It's incredible. Look, it left with an endearing and sense of wow. This is an amazing place. And I get involved, as I said, because of my faith in church activities. Those are the type of things that I enjoy. I enjoy time with the family, of course. Those are things that give me joy.
Yeah. Seems like quite a balanced life. What is your default way of handling challenges and setbacks? And what wisdom can you share with us on that?
The first thing is that life is not like a football game where there's one eventual winner. It's not a competition. And my perspective, therefore, is that you just got to keep going, got to keep running. And setbacks will come. As long as you accept that, they will come in one form or another. If it's not your family life, it's going to be work. If it's not work, it's community. It's somewhere, somehow. And so how you handle that is you've got to have some sort of principles and foundations that you use. And that is, tomorrow has got to be better than yesterday. So if I've experienced a setback, I must deal with it, accept where I've probably done wrong, and must end there. Then I must move on. I must move on.
You're not a dweller, I can see.
No.
Okay. What tip can you share about how to have difficult conversations, particularly with direct reports, about poor performance that will have a positive impact rather than leave them resentful and with anxiety?
So I genuinely believe in courageous conversations because when done correctly, they build the recipient and help the giver to be honest about where the recipient may be at that point in time. However, I do believe that before you embark on a courageous conversation, there has to be clarity about what the expectations are. That is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
There has to be clarity about the expectations, and the incumbent must be given the opportunity to perform at their best. That means support, development, on all the necessary things must be given to the person. And there must be reasonable communication that builds up to maybe the most important courageous conversation about where they're at. So the role of surprise here, unfortunately, doesn't work. So for as long as that is done and the conversation is had in a manner that leaves the person's dignity intact, then I think you've got it right. But certainly courageous conversations help.
Yeah, because it seems like sometimes people just avoid that, and it just creates problems in toxic environments.
It does, and I think part of it, I think it was Marshall Goldsmith who said part of the problem is we focus too much on the past instead of saying, actually, you know what, if you did this and this, things would be better. And that's what people get stuck on, and makes it difficult to go and give the feedback.
Yeah.
And they're not easy, but when done correctly, I think they're mutually beneficial.
Yeah. And they're welcomed, actually.
Yeah.
If somebody's in the growth mindset, I
Yeah.
suppose. How do you define success?
I have no definition of success, I'll be honest with you. I prefer progress, or the word progress. Success sometimes seems to at least communicate the view that there is one place instead of progress. Progress says, I'm eating this elephant one bite-sized chunk at a time. That's how I define it. Start where you are and move forward. And that's number one. I think the second piece is that for as long as something hasn't killed you,
Yeah.
and you're still breathing, that means you can still move on.
Yeah.
As long as it hasn't completely decapitated you,
Yeah.
then you must move on. And you must build from that point onwards. I genuinely believe this. So failure in that context then, or setbacks in that context, should help and should shape how you move forward.
So it's almost like success is a moving target. You never really reach it.
You never reach it. I'm one of those people who believe that you actually there's never a point where you can rest on your laurels and say, you know what, I am now at the end of what I potentially can do. Because there's so much immense potential in all of us.
Yeah.
I think some of us would argue that we probably surprised ourselves as well in the process. So for me, success is just, you've got to keep running. There's a study that was done by the collaborative fund. And they talk about the fact that, and they study this whole thing of extinction of species and all of that. And they say that the probability of extinction of any species is actually linear, meaning that age, experience, and maturity are no guarantee that any extinction will not, any species will not die. And therefore, that's why I've got to keep moving.
Okay, that's another theory.
Got to keep moving.
Yeah. Did you have a mentor in your early years? And is there some advice that they gave you that still sticks with you till this day?
You know what, Dudu, I've been very privileged. I've been very fortunate to have had men and women that have given generously and graciously towards my growth, my career, and to who I am today. And there are way too many to mention. In fact, I was just thinking the other day that I've been in the process of putting together this letter of gratitude and appreciation, which I want to send to people that have been instrumental in my life.
That's nice.
I have not completed it yet. It's taken me more than 2 weeks to write it. So yes, I have had people who've had an incredible influence in my life and my career. And in terms of what's been said to me, I mean, last week I was at a function where I shared this, that one of the most enduring lessons that one of my early college mentors, leaders, shared with me was this thing about the paradox of leadership. That leadership is both the end and the all. Leadership is not a one-way street. And probably don't have now time to unpack it here. I've taken that throughout my life. Being a leader does not mean you sit on a pedestal. It means you should also come down. And that's what leadership is. So it's both ends. And when you get both ends right, you've got your leadership journey.
You really have to finish that letter.
I have to.
Yeah.
And I will. And it just struck me early this year that there are people who sometimes have written letters to me in my career. Some of them have called me. Some of them have spared time. Some of them have facilitated meetings that I need to thank.
Good. It's always good to do that. Sometimes I just thank them in the universe because when you forget one, how do you recharge and take care of your mental and emotional well-being?
So firstly, I fundamentally believe that I've done emotional intelligence, but mental health is a thing. It's real. And I think those who deny it, and because sometimes they said, it's wokeness, and they do so at their own peril. Mental health is a real thing. And I think we all have to take care of our health. We owe it to ourselves to do that. And I've got a few rules. One of them I've already mentioned, that my job, my achievements, my possessions don't define who I am. 2, I'm early to bed, early to rise.
I haven't gotten that one right. Yeah.
I try as much as possible, eat healthy. I'm a regular at gym, at least 5 to 6 times a week. And I do the things that really matter to me.
Do you ever just say, hey, hell with it?
If something's troubling you and it's not giving you any benefit, maybe that's the time to say yes, to help with it.
Yeah, okay. Because you benefit from it, you don't feel
If it's not adding value to you, if it's relationship, job.
Okay. What book would you recommend? You're an avid reader?
Yes, I am. And it's sometimes very tough to actually recommend a book. But I'm going to take this risk and recommend one. The title of the book is Leadership and Self-Deception.
By?
It was written by the Eppinger Institute. This is an institute that wrote this book. I got this book, it was gifted to me around about 2015, and it was quite an unease in my career, in my life, in leadership. And someone gave me this book as a December present, and it changed my life around leadership and human relations. And the important thing here is that what it did is actually showed me the problem behind the problem.
It's amazing, yeah.
It went deep around why do we, when we have so many leaders, still have so many deviants, leaders and people It was the problem behind the problem. And without getting to the details of the book, because I'd recommend that people get it. It's only 160 pages, so it's an easy book to read. It's quite small. It's that when we relate to people, deal with people, they use the whole analogy of being in the box versus being out of the box. When you're in the box, you're only thinking about you, what matters to you, what's important to you. When you're out of the box, you think about what matters to that person and also to you.
Yeah.
And that changes the perspective. That book, I've given it to every team that I've had the privilege to lead. Because I think if we can all get down to that level of understanding of why we have been given this privilege to lead,
Yeah.
we would lead with a different perspective.
Actually, as you're describing that, it reminds me of, well, I'm sure Raymond Ackerman was not the first one to come with it, but he promoted it a hell of a lot. Enlightened self-interest. When you do good for yourself, but never forget how it impacts others and do good for them. So it's like the win-win, but your mindset is always thinking of the other persons as well.
But and the large part of it is just being honest about your own biases.
Yeah.
You know, why am I addressing this issue? What are my own biases here? And leaders are not bias-free or self-interest-free. That would be a misnomer.
Yeah.
Of course we've got interests, of course we've got biases, but as long as you recognize them.
Yeah. Well, this is why we have the discipline of corporate governance, which I enjoy.
That's it.
Because,
That's one of the rules that's been put around corporates.
Yeah. Okay. I hope we all get it and read it. I hope somebody has been noting it for me to buy it. What legacy would you hope to leave behind?
Well, I think it would be that at least most of the things, if not all things that I've touched, I've left them better than when I first found them. And that I've used the breaks, the opportunities that I've been given to the best of my ability. And that I have made a positive contribution in a small way, in many ways, that adds up to great things. That's really what I hope. When people talk about me, I hope at least the majority would say that.
Yeah. And they will watch this and say, okay, he did say it. What's still on your bucket list to do?
Sure, there's so much to do. I tell you, there's still so much to this. I want to go back to teaching. I want to do Route 66 on my bike.
Oh, okay.
I want to get a skipper's license. I tell you, that I'll do. I will get a skipper's license. This boy from Umlazi will have a skipper's license.
Yes, we will all celebrate that one.
So, look, there's still a lot to do. One thing at a time.
Yeah, you'll do it all. So in wrapping up, what wisdom would you like to leave us with? When we play back this conversation and we say, okay,
It is start from where you are. Got to keep running because there is no permanent advantages in this world. There are no permanent advantages, which means all of us have got to keep running. And we're all function of our choices, and that nothing is impossible. I think those are the key lessons I've learned in my life.
Yeah. Your kids must be happy to hear them too.
It'd be interesting actually to ask my kids. I've got a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old. So it'd be interesting to ask them what they think of Daddy and what Daddy has done. But I hope they'll reciprocate what I've said.
Yeah. I always think that how we should really choose leaders in terms of awards is to first ask their kids if they are good. That is my dream.
Yeah.
To kind of elect leaders like that.
One day, hopefully almost like a triangulation of some sort. You triangulate back to what your kids think about you.
Yeah, the impact you're having at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's very important, by the way. We cannot understate that. Because it's one thing to be a public success and a private failure.
Yeah.
That is undesirable.
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome. And thank you for getting out of flu bed for this.
I appreciate.
I hope you have enjoyed this conversation with another wise African. Until next time on Wisdom Personified, Conversations with Dudu Msomi. Thank you for making time for this episode of Wisdom Personified, Conversations with Dudu Msomi. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell notification to be informed when our next episode is available. Wisdom Personified Conversations with Dudu Msomi is also now available on Facebook Watch, Apple and Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. Enjoy the wisdom journey.